Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Where are my buttons? There we go. Thank you for joining me here today. We are live on StreamYard, YouTube, and my Facebook page. So if you're joining from one of those, thank you for doing that. Please, like and subscribe, whatever you want to do there. We find that the StreamYard is a great destination. You get the email right in your inbox when it's going to start. So anyway, however you're here, thanks for joining. I'm Todd Rains, and that's Todd Rains. So weird. Two pictures. Anyway, I'm in my shop here in Allen, Texas, and it's Friday, and today is 1 o'clock today. So I have changed the time. I'm glad so many of you made it here, and at the time change. I was doing this at 2:30 in the afternoon. Cindy was doing hers at 1. We talked about it, and Shelley made a great point. Let's move to 1. I avoid a bit more of the heat in the afternoon coming up summer, so we're going to stick with 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Fridays, every second Friday. Intervening Fridays, Cindy is on, so every Friday at 1 o'clock, you'll see one or either of us. One or the other of us. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, enough about that. So glad you got the times here and all that stuff. So we had a few people saying hi in the beginning, David and Paul and KK and a few others. John, thanks for joining. Good to hear you got your lathe running. Hopefully you got that VFD or whatever the switch problem was sorted. Good stuff. Good to know. Chuck, friend from local Fort Worth area, so good to have you here. Red Lake, Ontario. Trevor, good to have you here. Nice to see you. John Still from North Carolina. Paul from North Street, Michigan. Good stuff. Dave Piper, good to have you here from Florida. And another Florida is Glenn Crandall. Good. Glad you can make it live here, Glenn. Good stuff. So maybe this is a better time for you as well. And from Shiloh, Illinois, Carl, good to have you here. Another Florida, Bob Elliott from Florida. And Mike O.B. is here. Good to have you here, Mike. Thanks for joining. Temple, Scott Hampton, good to have you here from California. There's lots of folks here. There's my friend Ian Coates. We met him in Colorado a couple of years ago. Good to have you here. Close friend of mine, Steve Thomason. Good to have you here, Steve. Hope you're doing well. Hope Anne's doing well, and say hi to the family for us. Yes, it was the VFD. Oh, good. So glad that solved the issues. Yeah, it's a whole process changing on VFD or trying to reprogram one. I've never done it. I've got other people that have done it, and John, I'm glad you got your stuff finished. John, good to have you here in Southern California. So a few of you have gotten the new 3D printed tools. For example, this one, radius gauge. So, let me know either here or via email what you think of those and stuff like that and how it's working for you. And be glad to get some feedback on that. So we are going to look at, I didn't put up a special banner here to tell us what we're doing, but last week we turned a bowl. Basically, after you core it, how do you mount it? How do you get at turning it and stuff like that? So we mounted it, turned a little tenon, turned it around, and mounted it. And I wanted to finish this bowl off to finish the bowl with using the vacuum chuck. We'll get into that in a second. I've got a few other things to just chat about quickly. And let me see where I'm at here with my stuff. I get down in the corner. Keep in touch. You've got email address, phone numbers, all that stuff. The QR code over there gets you to the newsletter. If you're on the newsletter, you get my newsletter at least once, maybe twice a week, to talk about what's new, what's on sale, what is coming up in events, and that kind of stuff. So check that out. The other scan code here is Cindy Droza's newsletter, so you can get informed on her live streams, her demos, her products. And she does her live stream on Fridays at 1, just opposite every other Friday of me, bi-weekly. So that's good to take advantage of those times and live streams, learn some turning, learn some techniques, learn some tools, that kind of stuff. So glad to have you all here. So next up, got a blank slide. All right. Next one, Spring Vendor Showcase. So this is a group of 6 vendors, myself, Cindy Drozda, Joe Fleming, Steve Worcester, Lyle Jameson, and we'll have, also got John Jordan's banner on there. I don't think Vicky's going to make it this year, but we have a lot of fun at these events. These are live online events. We're going to be doing a StreamYard event this time, and it's 4 hours long, April 5th, Saturday, April 5th. QR code up here is a registration link, so take advantage of that. It's free. We have 4 hours of mini demos from each of us. We have some tool showcases, basically talking about what kind of tools are new, what we have. The demos might show those off. You've got lots of Q&A. If you got questions about the tools from any one of us, you can ask. Then the big thing we do is, first of all, have a lot of fun and some popcorn, of course. And we have a charity auction. So during the 4 hours, you'll be able to bid on an auction item. We'll each have a turned piece, maybe a collaborative. Cindy and Lyle are doing a collaborative, so they're doing something together, which is a very unique thing. You can't really get those anywhere else. So that's a great way to support the charity of choice and bid on those auction items. The charity, by the way, is the St. Jude's Children's Medical Research Hospital. It's a great outfit for, helping kids recover from all kinds of things. So that is where all the money is going to go to. We don't keep a red cent of it. So last few years, we've raised $1,500, $2,000 for charities. Things like food banks, veterans charities, other children's charities and stuff like that. So please come along, join us, spend some money for good, and have some fun while doing it. So that's a vid, I think, there, and I don't know if I have anything else. That's it. Thanks for watching. Let's get on with the show, and we'll take a look overhead. So I've got a different piece on here. We'll go through. Oh, before I do that, I've been practicing my threading. I came out in the shop the other day and did some threading, and worked out pretty well. I'm pretty happy with that. So you may see something like that incorporated into my vendor showcase piece, depending how the next 2 weeks goes. So we'll see there. But let's get on with the vacuum pump system, and let me. We can train one of these cameras. Let me just do this one and move that over here, and we'll show that. And let's see if that's not focused. 1 second, I'll get that a little bit better focus. There we go. Okay, so let me kind of get in the way here and a little bit out of the way. So I've got my vacuum pump set up beside my lathe here. This is the tool rest on my lathe. Right on this little rolling cart, I've got the vacuum pump, and I've got a camera set up right here just to view the gauge, so we can look at what's on the lathe and see what kind of pressure we're getting, how to read that pressure, vacuum, that kind of thing. And So I don't have this view on all the time, but I will have this view, which is that camera trained on that gauge right there. So here's my finger in the way, and there's the gauge. So we'll use this in one of the inset views to kind of see how we're doing with that kind of view. And let me just get this back in place again. And trained up here. I think that's got it right about there. Sorry. Fooling with the camera focus. So what do I have on here right now? So I've got, let me move this out of the way first of all. Shouldn't need that for a minute. Oh, I do have, there is some, there it is. David said, the gauge is fantastic. Good. Well, I'm glad. Thanks for the feedback, David. Appreciate it. Michael McEwen's here. Happy Friday, everyone. Happy Friday, Michael. Thanks for joining. So yeah, if you've got more feedback like that, would be great. Also, if there is, what is that? I got something else popping up on my Windows. Sorry. If there's any Q&A, please go ahead and ask those questions, and we'll try and get answers. So if I can't answer it, maybe somebody in the audience can answer it. So do that, and we'll take a look. I don't think there's. One thing I missed in the announcements is our next sharing session. So Cindy and I do a Zoom sharing session where we kind of take your show and tells and look at them, and you can ask questions about them. We can ask questions about you about them, and that's going to be Friday, June 6th. It's a couple of months away. We've got a couple of months of. We might go to a new schedule here every couple of months instead of every month. So take a look at that. You'll hear more about that in our emails. So another reason to join the newsletters, and you can sign up at woodturningtoolstore.com. How do we get that off? That's there. All right. So let me get back down to the corner. We're going to take a look at this piece. I'm also going to show these other pieces. This is a little plate, dished plate. This was done with the True Arc system a couple of months back, and it's still got a bottom on it. I could finish this with a jam chuck or something else, but we'll try the vacuum chuck on this one. The bowl I worked on last live stream is this one, and so we'll put this on and we'll see that it's not got a great vacuum pole, so I won't be able to really do it here. So let's take a look at what that means and what it's going to do for us. That's pretty good there. I've got a point center here already, so I've got my point center lined up in that hole, and we can just jam it. First of all, I should talk about the vacuum chuck. So there's this is the robust vacuum chuck system. Here's the small 3-inch vacuum chuck. This is the 4-inch one, solid aluminum with silicon gasket, threaded 1 1/4 by 8. You can get different sizes, I believe. I'm not sure on that, to be honest. In here, there's a bearing surface. If you wanted to do a through the headstock sort of tube, you can buy a kit to get some bearings and screws to screw it down there. The way I'm doing this, I'm doing a vacuum adapter on the end of my headstock, and so it's sucking vacuum through the headstock, and so I don't need that. But you got a couple of ways to do that. I talked about this on a live stream a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and you can check that out. All my live streams are archived on YouTube, as well as you can find them on my website. So this is the 3-inch. We've got 4.5, I think, and then the large 6-inch one here as well. So you got 3 different sizes from 3-inch up to 6-inch in terms of vacuum. And then Robust does sell the vacuum pump and the connection hardware. So all of that is available on my website. I don't actually have the full kit up there yet. Something I'm struggling to do is get some of those things updated on the website. So So let's go ahead and take a look at this one. This is one we turned last week. We turned it this way. It was a rough turn. We put this tenon on it. We turned it around and hollowed the inside. Now we got to take the foot off. So if I put this up on the vacuum and kind of just jam it sort of up against there gently. I'm going to turn on the vacuum pump. I'm going to turn this guy on first. You can see the vacuum that we pull. So here's my hand turning the switch on back there. And then I've got a lever down here to pull the vacuum. And that's full open vacuum. You can see we're only getting maybe 8 pounds of pressure. So if I take this away, and if I cover this up a little bit, it starts to go. So I've got some air leakage through this piece that is not allowing me to get a great vacuum. I can pull that off too easily and stuff. And so it's not enough of a vacuum for me to turn this bowl with, right? So if I maybe seal this, I can actually feel the air kind of going right through there. There's a little hole right here that maybe is causing some issues. I wonder if this one might be a little bit better. Let me zoom that in. Bear with me. So you can kind of see some of the little cracks. I got some end grain, and maybe it's around this whole seal here. We could do a little experiment. Let's do that just to kind of see. So if I tape this up, will I get more vacuum? Doesn't do any good because I can't turn the foot off with it all taped up, but this will give you an idea of how porous sometimes your wood can be. I don't think we're going to get to 25 pounds or 25, sorry, inches of mercury on this, but we'll get an improvement with some cover on there. So would a finish help? Would a sanding sealer help? I don't think enough in my estimation. So, and there may be some more leaking up here. Yeah, there's a huge loss right through there. So this is a kind of an interesting sort of little experiment. Let me know if you hear, I did a little test before. I don't think you can hear the vacuum pump so much unless I get down close to it here. So my mic is doing its job, I guess, cutting some of that out. There, we got up to 20. So just with that tape on there, we increased, doubled our hold, more than doubled our hold. But it does me no good because I can't turn that away. So, but it is an interesting experiment. And there, if we cover that piece of side grain, we'll get, that's that little exposure bit there. Let me just back this off a little bit. Oops, wrong way. You can see the change in pressure we're getting, right? So interesting to know. Let's take some of this off. We'll see it just drop dramatically. And we're basically back down to our beginning time. So you've got to check your gauge to make sure that you can pull a sufficient amount. One thing for me to do is to pull on it, and I think I would want at least close to 20, up in that range, inches of mercury. I don't know. It's all depend on your pull. It all depends on the surface area you're covering as to how strong a pull you're going to get. But this I can pull with 2 fingers, maybe 3 fingers, and pull it off. So that's not strong enough for me to kind of have that bowl on there. That gets a tighter seal. So it could be that maybe this bowl is a little bit out of round too. So that's another thing. Just turn that off. So if my bowl is slightly out of round, then this surface is not going to be quite concentric and not going to seal quite well. So, and maybe a different sealing material might help. Maybe something that's non-porous but rubbery would work. So I tried another small one. a small bowl, do the same thing. It's too small for this vacuum chuck, but let's put on the little one and see what we have happening there. So with every chuck, you get a little Tommy bar, and you'll see, maybe I'll go to overhead here. You'll see that hole there, you get a Tommy bar with it to loosen it and take that off. Just get back to the questions here, see if there are any. I'll put this one on. So this is a small one. You're not going to have, there's a chart, I think, that's up on the Robust site. I don't know if I copied it onto my site about how much pull you can expect for this amount of surface area. And looking for my mouse over here. Let's see. Just scrolling back up. Bear with me a second. Paul, good to have you here. Jim, nice to have you. Thank you for joining. Let's see. Hans, good to have you here. Well done. Where did I see that? Weatherford. Larry, good to have you here. It's on the other side of Fort Worth. David from my old hometown, Calgary. Good to have you here. Yeah, I grew up in Calgary. John says, well, we'll make something up. I'm not sure what that's referring to. I probably missed that context. Sorry about that, John. Let's see. John Solberg, local club member. Hey, John. Good to have you here. Let's see. I've got the Robust plug-in adapter from a Powermatic 3520C. It makes it fast and easy to set up. Yes. And that's what I'm using here. I'll pull it out and we'll get some tape on my finger still. Sorry about that. Here it is here. And it is got I put a brass coupling on it to go into this hose and threads into this guy. And this is a rotating adapter. So these two O-rings go inside the shaft of the headstock on the handle side and seals up. I've got some silicone grease or petroleum jelly on there to kind of lubricate those. And this whole thing will spin inside the headstock while the hose remains still. So this is the vacuum adapter. It's the exact one that fits the Robust, the same one that fits the Powermatics 3520s. So that just plugs right back in there, and you've got vacuum out here. So does make it fast and easy. Let's see, put a little tape on the bowl bottom, leave the tenon clear. Yeah, you could try that. I still, something to try, Peter. I just don't know that I have, where did I put it? I've got a fairly wide area of a tenon on here that I'm not sure I could tape off and get close to cutting that tenon off. I've got a little flat here as well, so I'd have to cut some of this back to flatten everything out. So, yeah, it's... right now, we're probably, I want to say, quarter of an inch, maybe, not even. Somewhere maybe 3/16 in there. So not a lot of wood to play with. Let's see. Thank you for the question, though, and good idea, Peter. I would try that, as well, but KK not good for serving soup. It might be after it's turned and sealed, but probably not. So it's Bradford pear, so it's a fairly tight-grained wood, but it's fairly soft. So it's a good shaped bowl, though. So I shall try and save it. What I may do, maybe this is okay. This is next live stream. We'll take this one, instead of vacuum chuck it, we'll jam chuck it. That's how I turned a lot of my bowls in the beginning and stuff. And haven't done that for quite a while. I've got my old jam chuck up there. So we'll jam it and do it there. I've got cold jaws, but I think jam chucking is actually better because cold jaws aren't centered and everything's always just a little bit off. Let's see. Peter says, yes, seal the bowl and you'll have vac. Depends on the seal and how thin it is. I don't know what I can get away with in this one. So you're pulling inches of mercury, not pounds. Yeah, I think I corrected myself. Thanks, Peter. John, would the smaller vacuum cup that contacted less the bowl work better? Well, we could try it. I've got it on here, so we'll give it a shot. I don't know. The smaller the surface area that you're covering, the less pounds of force you have. So want to make use the biggest vacuum chuck that I can for the piece that I'm trying to grab. So good question. John said, when I had porous wood, I finished the inside, then I had plenty of vacuum to do the bottom. Yeah, there you go. So maybe that's the way to go. When I turned this guy, I totally sealed and finished this end, and that may help. The problem I think I may see is that when I put it around here, my finish may get disturbed or destroyed. So that may be an issue. Something to try, though. I haven't done a lot of vacuum chucking, in my life. So, it's been a while, so I have to try that. See, I've got the robust adapter. Really like it. Good stuff, David. Thank you. John, always works for popcorn, although not really big enough. Yeah, exactly. It's not big enough for the popcorn. We had popcorn the other night, and yeah, big batch of it. My wife said I didn't put enough butter on it, so I need to up the butter. There's another piece of Bradford pear. This one we turned during one of my live streams. I didn't quite get a good job on the bottom, but I'm going to see if I can vacuum chuck this as well as this bigger bowl and answer I think John's question. I can't remember who that had that idea. So let's see if it gets a better vacuum with the smaller vacuum chuck. So we'll pull this up, get that centered in there, lock that down, get my fingers out of the way. Oh, get the tape out of there. Get that sort of centered. Start the vacuum pump. All right, and then turn up the... So we are getting better vacuum just on that smaller bottom. But here's the rub. Is I'm going to be taking away a lot of this wood where that vacuum is. So let me switch to that. And I'm just going to roughly, actually I'll use my radius gauge for this. Why not? I will tell you about where that seal is, and it's probably right about here. So right about there is the end of the vacuum chuck on this side. And so as I work to cut this, well, let's just cut it and see. We'll see how I'm going to leave the tailstock up. So we'll cut it and see how much vacuum we lose over this period. So let me grab a tool. Just grab my bowl gouge and let me back this off a little bit. So remember, I've got this little flat right here I've got to get rid of. That's running pretty true, so I'm kind of happy with that. And I got to get rid of the tenon, so I'll probably try and make this a smooth bottom bowl. I'm going to have to take some off up here as well, so get the speed up a little bit, tighten this down just a little bit. Now let's watch that vacuum. We're sitting around, 17? Let me just hold that steady. Yeah, 16, 17. And doing about, 1260 RPM, I guess. Eating chips as I talk or try and look at this. I'm also watching the gauge up there to see how well we're doing. So now let's go back and work on shape a little bit. This may work just fine if I can get most of it done. This was a good call, John. I'll get my hand down here. I'm just trying to get a nice cut line, nice flowing curve. Still about the same vacuum. Not really liking the curve up here. Wonder if I can clean that up. We'll see. That's a bit better. Let me switch you to overhead. You can kind of see the curve I'm talking about. I had a lump right here, so. I'm going to stop for a second. Sorry, I just got it's my hand in the way. Just see how much room I got in the bottom there. Not a whole lot for much of a foot, but let's put a little foot on it. I think I'll have enough for a little bit of a foot. That's seating pretty good. Turn the vacuum back on. Getting about the same 16, 17 inches of mercury. It's funny, I can feel its stickiness right here where the air is coming through. So if I clean that up first, I'm going to just get my negative rake scraper and kind of, I do have my little skew. I'll just do maybe a bit of negative rake scraping up here to kind of get that cleaned up while I still have the tailstock support. That may sand out, I'm not sure. It's looking good down there. Just I got this right at this cut line, I've got a little hump. Let's see if I can kind of take care of it a little bit. Looks okay. This is outside the vacuum area, but I can clean it up while it's here. That's all right. Now we can work down here and get my spindle gouge that'll get into there a little bit closer. Still holding vacuum. Zoom that in a little bit. All right, let's see if we can. Well, let's make this a bit smaller, as much as we can. Watching that vacuum gauge and see if it's going to hold. Turning the gouge almost vertical so I don't get that wing caught. There we go. And let's see if this is a better view. So we're holding just on vacuum, 16 inches of mercury. And get my tool rest in position. Just want to make sure I'm undercut enough. We got a good rim. Now we can go ahead and sand. So that's the wrong place for that. There we go. So that worked well. I've got a decent form on that bowl. And so I could take that and go ahead and sand that and stuff. And I'm getting a lot of vacuum loss just on the outer perimeter of this tenon. So there you go. Let's call that a success. I'm not going to sand here right now. We'll sand this later. So let me turn that off. And we got a little bowl. So, whoops. There we go. And zoom that out. So, good. I got that finished off. So let's try this other one, this smaller one, and see how well this is going to go for us. I don't think it's going to go from what I remember. I did a little prep this morning. Let me see. Let's see. Peter Tungle will give you a hard finish to hold the vac, and will withstand the silicon seal when turning off a tenon. All right. Good to know. Good to know. I'll have to take your word on that. Michael from over in Slovakia. Good to have you here. Thank you for joining. Had to Google Slovakia, learning some geography. Well done, Michael. Good stuff. Let's see. John, the vacuum will fail when you go through the bottom of the for the funnel. Yes, that would definitely be a problem. So absolutely. Outside the vacuum area is still a problem as the airflow for the end grain. It's a good point, John. Outside the vacuum area is still a problem as the air flows through the end grain. Yep. Where's that bowl? So, yeah, John makes a point here. I should just kind of show. This is Bradford pear. It's a face grain turning, and there's end grain here, here, and then here and here. So as you, that's going to be probably where all the air is coming through, all this end grain stuff. Flat grain, probably not so much. So good thing to kind of understand the wood grain and what you may experience with turning with a vacuum. Excuse me, with a vacuum. So let me just put this one up there. I'll move my tailstock back. So there's my, I try and always keep my center points. This one's kind of hard to see, but it is there in the middle. And if this looks like this one broke, I think what it did is went back, and as I had it held somehow on the front side, I made a center point on that part. I'm not sure how that why that looks so janked up, but did I get that in there? I think so. Let's just see how well. Turn my speed down. This is off, warped quite a bit, it looks like. It's off a little bit all around, so maybe I did miss that center point. Push that back up again. It's just off. All right. Well, let's see how much. Oh, let me get John's comment off there. Oops. Try some red oak. Yes, red oak is very porous, so I do not recommend for any firewood. I think it's a good place for red oak. Let's see. I was going to put this back up and turn my vacuum pump on and see how well this one pulls. So again, we're only getting about, what's that, 14? No, it's 10 and 15, 12 and a half boats. Let me just hold my fingers on top there. It steadies it out a little bit. I've got this up on my rubber mat a little bit, so it's a little bouncy. Let's find out why. Let me pull the tailstock back and do the same sort of exercise on this one. Just kind of experimenting. And let's look at what John said about end grain in this area and the opposite side. Quite a big difference there, right? So just holding those two sides. If we do the flat grain side there, and I'm trying to find the other side here, there and there, doesn't do much, right? So let me get this tool rest out of the way. This is a good point John Solberg made. So here's the face grain side, and here's the other face grain side. Let me switch to this one. So just holding those two sides. But if I go 90 degrees to that, big difference. So covering your end grain here is where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up this surface with the tailstock up, and then we'll remove the tailstock. Maybe I'll tape off the end grain side and turn the finish the rest of this bowl. Bowl gouge. That's tight, that's tight, that's tight. That's on. All right. And speed. I haven't turned the inside of this, so this is going to be a wasted bowl in a way, but it's an experiment. I guess I could do a push cut. Come back this way and clean that up. To turn my tool rest a little bit. I'm just going to straighten out this top a little bit. A little awkward reach there. I'll bevel that edge just so I don't cut myself on it. I'll do some more down here. Just hit my live center there. Double check that. All those streaks on there are the bruise marks from the heel of my gouge, which is fine. We can go through and do some scraping. Just some negative rake. I need a bigger straight negative rake than this skew, and sanding would take those out as well, but just for purposes of not sanding. Now we'll finish up down the bottom here. And then attack this little foot. I wonder, do we want a little foot? Better with a spindle gouge. Still got a little thing in there. I'm having a hard time seeing. All right, we're getting close to pulling that. I'm going to go up the speed a little bit. Vacuum hasn't changed. Turn that down because I just don't want this thing flying off on me if the vacuum's not enough to hold it. Oops, there goes that bottom wing touching that area. So we're moving the tailstock out. Very gentle cuts because I feel this is just not on there very strong. So I have to pull my tool rest back a little bit because the heel of my gouge was sliding off. And maybe, oops, wrong way, Todd. Zoom that in. And again, go ahead and sand. So that held long enough to kind of get basic bowl done. Let's just see. If, yeah, we can pull it by hand. So definitely not enough, I don't think, to have this thing whizzing around at super speeds. So not bad. Of course, the inside of this is garbage, but it kind of gives me a good idea of what the capabilities are here. And if I had some questions about whether my system, whether this this sort of setup was maybe not, maybe I was seeing vacuum loss, and I wasn't sure if it was the hoses or the pump or the fixtures. If you're not quite sure, if you get a flat piece of wood, I've got this flat platform that I've built. It's just a tool rest. But get a flat piece of wood, turn your vacuum pump on. Let me turn that down because I'm liable to turn that on by accident. And hold your flat piece of wood up there and see if it holds. So there's what I can expect this system to hold. It's about 25 inches of mercury. Now we've got a hand cranking lathe. So that's always fun. But a flat board, something that'll be able to seal that vacuum, gives you a good idea of what you're able to accomplish. And looking at the gauge, you can get a good idea of what it's going to pull. On a small vacuum chuck like this, I'm going to pull this tailstock out because I don't want to hurt myself. I can probably pull this by hand fairly easily. If we change that to the 4-inch chuck, we get that Tommy bar. Put the 4-inch chuck up there. Hold that up, turn the vacuum on. Again, we've got a good, hand cranking lathe, but what's it take to pull that now? And I'm just going to move that tool rest because I'm liable to hurt myself on that. That is more effort. And finally, if we put on the 6-inch chuck, Tommy bar, I don't know if my board's big enough now, to be honest. The backside is, so we may have to go that way. Yeah, so I'm too wide there, but I think I'm wide enough here to have that hold. I've got a little screw back there I got to be aware of not to hit. And then we'll throw the vacuum on. And I can feel that through there. Feel my hand getting sucked. So not near as much vacuum there. Maybe it's not quite as flat. It's hard to see. I can't move this all the way around because but I can feel pinholes in here that are changing it. But that is even only at 16 pounds of vacuum. Ouch. That is about as tough as the 4-inch at full vacuum. So things to keep aware of. Surface area matters. And so that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what how they work. So let me see. I missed a few. I'm going to take these off. Can't quite see. Yeah, so it's just, let's see. Yeah, John said tape up the end grain. We talked through that, so that's probably a good place to start. Can you turn the bowl around and turn the inside? I probably could on the small vacuum. Good question there, Ed. So in the small one, I don't know if it would fit the large one. No, it wouldn't fit the large one. But in the small one, I might be able to vacuum that and get the inside. I might try that separately. Not maybe not today. And then next question we had. Doesn't have to be a wasted bowl. Finish the outside completely tongue roll poly next week, then finish the inside. You back to hold it. A little soft nose on your live center. Yeah, doesn't have to be a wasted bowl, but for the purposes of live streams, this is what we end up going through. We have a lot of things that are partially finished, So, but it's all for education purposes, and I don't mind. So if I get to finish it at some point, great. There you go, Tony. Dang it, forgot to change the time. Yeah, I changed it. So thanks for joining. I appreciate you did. And again, these are always up for replay as well for those part. What? It's not 2:30 yet. I know, James, we changed it to 1 p.m. If you read the newsletter, you'd know. I think I maybe announced it last week as well, or maybe Cindy did on her live stream. Anyway, glad to have you here. Make it fly. No, thanks, Tim. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Hey, Gonzalo, good to have you here. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Nice job. Thank you. Let's see. John had a good point here. Oops, I'm trying to click on that. At higher altitude, to get less vacuum for best results, do your turning at the bottom of the ocean where the pressure is the greatest. Yeah, good job. We are probably, 600 feet here in Allen, Texas, so nice and low. Up in Colorado, Cindy, you're 4,000 feet, something like that. So maybe different up there. So, and I'm not sure what part of California, if you're in altitude or not. So let's see, 4-inch chuck at 20 HG should be about 120 pounds. Wow, I just pulled 120 pounds off. And what did I pull off on the 6-inch? Stronger than I think. All right, that's enough fun there. Let's see. Oh, Cindy joined. What did she say? There she goes. Oh, she can't. Sarah, I forgot about the new time. Yeah, happens to the best of us, Cindy. No problem. I was worried about it too. I wasn't sure I was going to be ready. So good to have you here. Thanks for joining. 190 pounds at 20. Was it inches of mercury? Yeah, that's inches. Yeah. All right. Thank you, John. Good to calculate. See, I'm lucky to get 20 pounds of vacuum. Oh, at that altitude? Yeah, nice. So I feel lucky in that regard. So let's see. What did Paul say? I often use sanding sealer on the end grain, and that works well. Yeah, something like that definitely is something to think about for sure. Richard, thanks. I'm glad it is helpful. So that's good news. So appreciate that. So there we go. That is where we're at with what I did today, and we talked about maybe next week, although I finished this one, jam chucking a bowl. I'm sure I've got another bowl around here somewhere to jam chuck, so we'll figure that out. And we'll look at jam chucking as well. So I had this one because I wasn't sure I'd get enough vacuum to be able to finish this one. But with a smaller chuck, John, good idea. I was able to. It was this one. That's way too big for that guy. I wonder. That's just about the right size. But I will use. I was going to use, if that one failed, I was going to use this. This is a small true arc plate. It's got a little dish in the middle, very subtle dish, and it's a pretty piece of wood. So I was going to vacuum chuck that and turn this sort of to a nice rounded plate, and I may do that in after hours here. So, but that is me for today, folks. So I want to thank you all for joining, and don't forget about Cindy's live stream next week, and then in 2 weeks, tomorrow Saturday. So 2 weeks tomorrow is Vendor Showcase. April is just around the corner, folks. So don't forget that. So thank you all for joining. We appreciate it. I want everybody to have a great weekend, and hopefully nice weather where you are, and get out and enjoy the shop. get out and enjoy the family and friends, and then be kind to one another. We'll see you all next time. We'll talk about jam chucking, I think, bowls. So, all right. Take care, everyone. Bye for now. Jam chucking. Oops. Missed the button.